Okay, so following round clockwise around these mode buttons from our plug-in and instrument button, the learn button, we come to now to the last button, the exit button, and this is the sends mode button. Okay, so I press it once and I'm in sends mixer view, where the pot at the top is controlling some parameter for send slot 1 for each channel in this bank of 8. And I can choose a different slot, the same as I can choose a different EQ band, by holding down lower shift and page cursoring up down here. So that's send slot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I'll choose send slot 1. So this pot is controlling one parameter of send slot 1 for each channel. But which parameter? Well, again, it's like with the EQ, you can choose the different parameters, which were, look, if you look over here in our setup, the parameters for EQ were the bypass, Q, gain or frequency, and by setting it on bypass and setting it to band 1, I made it into a low cut, on off, right? Okay, well, our send parameter has got destination, level, position and mute. Now the default sort of destination, it's a bit like trying to install a plug-in in mixer view or an instrument in mixer view. Do you remember that thing where you rotate the part and then when you press it will activate the send 1 slot for this channel, but you've got no way of knowing which damn bus you're selecting as you rotate this pot. So I could rotate this pot to here and press it and it activates send slot number 1 on this channel, and it sent it off to bus 11 because that's the position this LED was at. I'll change that. Now it's bus 9, 7, 4, 1. Okay, I've managed to get 1, but it's hit and miss. So you're probably best installing your sends manually. And the reason that you don't want to do it by doing this hit and miss is because every time I get one wrong, I'm creating an extra auxiliary channel strip. Alright, so let me knock out these auxiliaries I just created. Actually, I'll get rid of this bus completely. This send, I mean. Delete all these auxiliaries that were created. Alright, so, you know, forget that as a way of installing your sends. The best mode to have your send mixer view in is whichever send you want, and then the two most useful modes, the only two that are really worth a toss, are send parameter level and mute. Position is choosing post, pre, fader, etc, etc, so you're best doing that with the mouse. But when you start using the level and mute function, then of course it becomes useful. So I'll put it on level. Now you can also do this like with the EQs, changing the parameter by shifting, stepping left, right with the cursors, and you can change, but there's no way without this setup being open of knowing what parameter you've selected really, unless you've got some buses, you know, some sends already set up, in which case there will be some LED displays, but it's cryptic. So look, best thing to do, oh damn it, wrong button, is leave it on level. Alright, now currently there are no lamps. We're in sends mixer view, where this pot is controlling the level for each channel in this bank of 8 for send 1, but none of the channels has got a send 1. So let me install some manually. I'll choose the first 8 tracks by holding down shift and clicking them, and they become highlighted, and then of course because they're all highlighted, if I install a send into one, it will install that to all of them. So here we go. Bus. Ah, there's still an auxiliary active. Right, let me get rid of it. Right, let's do that again. Shift, 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 shift the first 8 channels and install a send 1 going to bus 1 for all of them. Badang, there we are, and the auxiliary has appeared here receiving on bus 1, and all these sends, which is send 1 for each of these 8 channels, is now sending into bus 1 and arriving here at this auxiliary channel strip. Alright, I'll choose channel 1 again. Okay, now we've installed a send, and the parameter in this send mixer view that each of these pots is controlling per channel is the level. Now that we've actually got a send, number 1 send on those 8 channels, the LED becomes active. Okay, and now this is the level, so I'm turning up the amount I'm sending from each channel. Alright, there it becomes very useful. Okay, so if you've got multiple sends, let's say you're using 3 sends per channel, these are your send amounts. Now that you've got it in send mixer view, and the parameter being controlled is the level. Alright. I could change it to a different send slot by holding down lower shift and paging, but none of them got anything on send slot 2, but if they did, you'd then see the levels. Alright. Okay. So this is like very useful now, because you go into this send mixer view, and each of these is the send control for each channel for whichever send slot you're addressing. Alright, you just change to a different send slot, and you're then controlling that send slot per channel. Okay. So what I've done is, let me turn these all down. What I've done is, I've changed a few things around. I've put this classic dub kit for the Ultra Beat onto the second channel. I'll just mute the first channel, which has got a little synth on it, okay? And I've lowered the tempo, and the Ultra Beat is playing this. Okay, and then if I bring in this first channel by unmuting it, it's got a little, I'll mute the Ultra Beat, it's got a little blipping synth playing chaps, and chap, 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 like that. And with the drums, it sounds like this. Yeah, drums, keyboard out. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, on this auxiliary channel here, which is all these sends are sending into, bus 1, I'm going to install a tape delay. I'm going to set that tape delay's preset to 8th note dotted dub. Okay, now turn up the send from this keyboard channel. Yeah. It sends into that echo. Okay. So, let me just turn down the amount of feedback on that tape delay actually. It's just feeding back too much. Okay, so obviously this is now the send amount, very useful. You can adjust how much of the delay on this send one for each channel. Okay. So look, if I now turn up the send for the piano, the little keyboardy piano only, I'll mute the drums, right? Okay, it's going to that echo a bit more. Okay, now if I hold down this lower shift and switch my sends into mute mode, okay, which will be mute, there we go. I mean, it's probably better to adjust it from here, you know, mute, because at least you know which one you've selected. Unfortunately, there's no display telling you which mode you've selected until you get used to the position of the pots. When you switch between the send and the mute, the send level and the mute, you know, you'll get confused. But anyway, now all these pots are muting or unmuting that send. So with it muted, I can do dubs now. Ready? It's off now, but if I want to send a little blip of that into the echo, chat, chat. know, you get the idea. Yeah, okay. So you can use it like that to mute the send on and off, to do little reggae dub blips, or you can switch it to that mode, which is the send amount, you know, the level, and now it's just doing the traditional job per channel of controlling the send amount for the selected send slot. Okay, and then you just change send slot, and if you've got a send in those slots, the second slot, then the LED will be controlling the send for the second send per channel, whichever bank of 8 you're in. Okay, so that's what the send mixer view does, right? It's very useful. The best way to use it really is to keep it in so that the parameter being controlled is the level, and then you've got a traditional send per channel, you know, less, more, a little bit less, etc. per channel on the mixer for the selected slot. And it's very easy to then change the slot, whoops, and then you're controlling the sends for each channel for slot 2, you know, send 2, and then you're controlling the send 3 amount for each channel, and then the send 4 amount for each channel, and then back to number 2, send amount for each channel, and back to 1, the send amount for each channel for send 1. Okay, simple. That's send mixer view. The next send view is send channel view. Okay, so let's look at that next.